Take a deep breath. While you were opening this video, the sky was already pronouncing your name. Nothing that is happening now is a coincidence. It was I who moved every detail to bring you to this moment, because there is something that needs to be released upon you. I saw your disguised weariness, the prayers made in silence, the days when you believed without seeing anything change. Every breath you took was recorded in my records, and not a single tear fell in vain. Today, I call you by name, and when I call, everything that belongs to you begins to move. As you listen to my voice, there is a movement happening in the unseen. Your name has been mentioned in my books of righteousness, and angels have been commanded to reposition what seemed lost. What time has erased, I bring back. What doubt has destroyed, I restore. The doors that have closed, I reopen with a force that no man can resist. Do you feel that warmth in your chest? It is the sign of my presence touching your soul, confirming that you are not alone. You were chosen to experience something that many asked for, but few were ready to receive. What brought you here was not curiosity, but purpose. It wasn't an algorithm, but destiny. Your story was written in my book even before you began to walk. When you thought I had fallen silent, I was merely preparing you to hear my voice without fear, without noise, without interference. I chose you not because you are perfect, but because your heart continues to believe even when wounded. Your falls did not distance me, they only revealed the depth of my love. Today I tell you, that which seemed forgotten in the heavens is being reactivated. Angels are moving, the spiritual environment is changing, and a new phase is beginning to dawn upon you. I call you to align yourself with what has already been decreed in your favor. There is a weight lifted from your shoulders now. I am transforming despair into direction, tears into seeds, loss into testimony. It was I who sustained you on nights when you had no strength left to pray. It was I who held you when the world crumbled and whispered to you that there was still a future. You were seen, remembered, and called. I have not forgotten you. This is the time to answer the call, not with fear, but with faith. What begins in this instant is a transfer of purpose, honor, and restitution. Your faith is the key that activates everything I have prepared. Do you feel the air change? It is heaven breathing with you, the same breath I created at the beginning of time, now blowing upon your life. Nothing can stop what I have begun. No dissenting voice, no memory of the past, no human limitation. When I move, no force can resist. This is the moment when the invisible begins to manifest. Your name is being surrounded by favor, remembered in meetings where you are not present, pronounced in places you never imagined entering. What seemed locked away is now being released. Just believe. Faith is not emotion, it is a spiritual signature. When you believe, I recognize your trust and open paths that previously seemed unreachable. My glory is manifested when your heart surrenders control to me. Do not fear what is to come, for what is to come comes from me. Comment now, I believe, and confirm what heaven has already begun to do in your name. As you declare this, the atmosphere changes, because your written word becomes a testimony before my angels. I receive your faith and declare, what began today will soon be visible. Breathe again, because this is the first sign of a new season. While you listen to this message, something greater is happening around you. The heavens continue to move, even when you don't realize it. I am not only speaking to you now, I am speaking through you, because what I am doing in your life is so profound that it cannot end with yourself. Every seed I plant in your heart carries the power to germinate in others. There are people who will cross your path and feel, my presence because of the light I awaken within you today. Nothing that happened to you was by chance. Even your pain will become bridges that I will use to reach those who are experiencing what you have already overcome. Everything that hurt you, everything they tried to erase, I now use as an instrument of restoration. You are a living witness that what seemed like the end is only the beginning of my plan. So, when I lift you up, it is not only to heal you, but to make you a channel of healing. When I strengthen you, it is so that your strength becomes a refuge for others. You are part of a celestial movement that is expanding. What began as a personal touch is now transforming into a divine current that will reach other hearts. As I speak, I activate distant people, awaken families, rekindle dormant hopes. Your obedience will be the bridge between heaven and many who cry out for a sign. Every act of faith you make multiplies in my records and opens invisible paths of restoration. Do not underestimate the reach of what I place in your hands. A word from you, a simple gesture, can change someone's destiny. When I called you, it was not to be a spectator, but a participant in my will. The love I pour out upon you needs to continue flowing, because if you try to keep it only for yourself, it loses its essence. I am the one who chose you to carry this light, and it is strong enough to cross borders, heal wounds, and awaken what was dead. I am now breathing upon you a wind of spiritual sensitivity. Listen to what I tell you. Many who surround you are silent on the outside, but cry out on the inside. And I am sending you this as an answer to those hidden prayers. What I am activating in you is compassion that moves the impossible. There are people who will remember you without understanding why, but it will be my presence touching them through your name. Therefore, do not let this word die with you. There is a spiritual flow that needs to continue. What you receive now is not just comfort, it is a mission. Do you feel this warmth in your chest? It is the confirmation of the sending. The same touch that reaches you at this moment will reach someone you cannot even imagine. I entrust this word to you because I can trust your heart. You are an extension of my love, a reflection of my faithfulness, living proof of my promise. Do not see yourself as small or incapable. The power is not in your strength, it is in my anointing upon you. Everything I do through you is perfect because it comes from the perfect source. Where there is resistance, I will make a way. Where there is fear, I will place courage. Where there is silence, I will make hope echo. Remain sensitive to my voice. I will lead you to specific people, and when you reach them, you will not need rehearsed words, because your presence will carry the sound of my peace. What you are receiving now is an anointing of expansion, not only for your home, but for all who touch what I entrust to you. Share this message with anyone who needs a sign from heaven today. Each time you obey, my spirit moves with greater intensity. Each time you allow others to feel what you now feel, my purpose expands. You were called, yes, but also sent. There is no boundary that limits the reach of a heart that responds to my call. What I begin in you, I spread throughout the world, and your name will become a reminder of faith for many who will believe again. Breathe, because your calling does not end here. It has only just begun. The transfer has begun. As you listen, a real movement is happening in the invisible. Everything I had prepared is being released now in your name. The spiritual decrees have been signed, the barriers have dissolved, and what was retention has become passage. What was once locked behind human doors now opens by divine order. I did not bring you here to promise you something distant, but to reveal something present to you. The change will not come. It has already begun. Your name has been written in the books of abundance and surrounded by my light. I see it shining among many as a sign of the fulfillment I have declared. Nothing will hinder what I have determined for you. Everything that seemed beyond your reach is falling into place, like pieces fitting together under my hands. People will begin to remember you without understanding why. Places that once rejected you will now feel peace upon hearing your name. It is my favor manifesting, opening space where there was never room for you. You asked for confirmation, and here it is. This is the sign you silently requested. The presence you feel now is proof that the decree has been signed. There is a gentle current of warmth in your chest, a lightness descending upon the atmosphere. It is confirmation that the spiritual has begun to touch the natural. Heaven responds with precision, and nothing can invalidate what has already been sealed. The waiting is over. The time of manifestation has begun. You don't need to prove to anyone what I'm doing. Your life will be the testimony. Those who doubted will see what happens when I raise up someone who remained faithful even when wounded. I honor you before those who diminished you, not out of revenge, but to show that faithfulness always bears fruit. What is coming is not the result of human effort, but of obedience and trust. Now I ask only one thing of you. Remain. Remain in faith, in presence, in listening. Do not disconnect from the place where I find you, because there are still revelations that I will send you. Constancy is the channel through which the divine flow continues. Each time you draw near, I amplify what you are receiving. You are not a visitor in this movement, you are an heir to it. The transfer I have released in your name is not only material, it is also spiritual. I am giving you clarity, peace, and discernment. I am giving you the authority to release words that will transform atmospheres. The gifts that were dormant within you are being reactivated. Your voice will regain its power, and your touch will heal again. The words you speak will not be ordinary, because they will carry the sound of heaven. Everything you were allowed to experience is now beginning to manifest in stages. Each day will bring small signs, and each sign will be a reminder that I am going ahead. I will not abandon you in the middle of the process. I walk with you, adjust the path beneath your feet, prepare the encounters, and open the doors at the right time. And when you think that nothing is changing, remember, the signature has already been made, and heaven does not go back. What you feel right now is just the first wave of a river that will never stop flowing. It will run through your house, your family, your projects. It is confirmation that everything you have experienced has led you here, to the exact point where I have decided to intervene. Breathe calmly. The air that enters now is new. The atmosphere of your life has changed, and you have been repositioned. Click like and subscribe to this channel as an act of faith and to remain under my voice. As you do this, your action becomes a testimony. It is the seal that heaven recognizes, the visible response of one who has received and decided to remain. I tell you, you will not return to the old point. What began today cannot be undone. The transfer has been confirmed, the decree is in effect, and your name has been pronounced in glory. What I began in you will become visible before many, and what now seems small will grow until all know, you were chosen by me. The decree has begun to move. What was once only written in the unseen is now beginning to take shape in time. I have commanded the gears of my purpose to turn in your favor, and nothing can stop them. There is a new sound in the spiritual realm, the sound of obedience being rewarded, the sound of the harvest springing from the ground where you sowed with tears. Even if you cannot yet see it, it is already happening. What I promised you is not on hold, it is in transit. I move people, places, and decisions so that everything unfolds exactly as I designed it. Nothing I prepared for you has been lost. While you doubted, I was still working. While you cried, I was still building. And while you were silent, I was writing the next chapters of your story. I am a God of processes, and every step has meaning. Your patience was not ignored. It was the seed that activated the season you are now entering. My angels are on the move. They move silently, opening doors, breaking down resistance, and guiding hearts toward you. Your name is repeated in heaven with honor. A weight of glory descends upon everything you carry in your heart. What was too heavy begins to feel light. What seemed blocked begins to unlock. I am realigning everything that has been thrown out of order. Don't try to understand every detail, just trust. There are things I don't show you to protect you from anxiety. What I need is your peace, not your doubts. The decree has already been activated. The movement has already begun. Everything that hurt you now becomes part of the path that leads you to your destiny. Even mistakes, I redeem. Even delays, I transform into precision. There is a time between "it was said" and "it happened," and it is during this time that I build your structure. Because I cannot give you greater promises if you are still afraid of losing what is small. Therefore, while you wait, I mold you. While the miracle approaches, I mature you. While the decree moves, I prepare you to sustain it. You are not waiting in vain. You are being shaped so as not to waste what is to come. Feel the atmosphere changing. There's a lightness that wasn't there before, a peace that envelops you from within. This is the sign of fulfillment. It's heaven whispering that what began in mystery will end in testimony. You are not alone in this process. My spirit walks beside you, adjusting your step to the rhythm of what is already manifesting. I have already ordered the advance. The right doors will open at the exact time, and no opposing force will be able to close them. The wrong people will naturally move away, because the decree I released in your name also separates what is not part of your new season. Do not fear the departures. They are prunings that produce fruit. Do not lament what departs. Lament only if you try to prevent what I have already determined. What seemed still is moving. What seemed empty is being filled. The promise is not far away. It merely travels through the corridors of time to reach you. And when it arrives, it will be so perfect that you will understand why it didn't come sooner. I was never late. I only waited for the moment when you could receive it without losing it. Remain still, for the noise of doubt interferes with the sound of the miracle. Learn to rest, for he who trusts does not become agitated. The decree is in motion, and everything that needs to happen has already been activated. Now is the time to believe in silence, observing the invisible transform the visible, with the certainty that no promise made by me returns empty. I go before you, and what has begun in your favor will become visible in due time. Be watchful, for soon you will see signs so clear that your heart will have no doubt. What I have released cannot be revoked. What I have set in motion cannot be stopped. And what is now manifesting will be remembered as the day the decree came forth from heaven and began to walk upon the earth. The records have been opened. The sound that echoes now is that of pages being turned in the books of heaven. Every word I promised you was written and awaited the exact moment to be released. That moment has arrived. Your name shines between the lines of my promises, surrounded by light and marked with honor. Today, the sentences that limited you are erased, and new decrees are written with the ink of eternity. I do not merely speak, I execute, and everything I execute is perfect. My angels are rising to fulfill what has already been determined. They carry detailed instructions, They know every aspect of your history and every need of your heart. They enter places you cannot go, touch people you cannot reach, and remove obstacles you didn't even know existed. There is an intense spiritual movement surrounding your name. What was held back begins to flow, and what has been blocked for too long dissolves at my command. Your past no longer has authority over your destiny. The emotional and spiritual debts that bound you have been paid. The pain you carried as a memory now becomes proof of overcoming. I erase what accused you and place a new seal upon you, the seal of grace, liberation, and abundance. When I open my books, no opposing voice remains. The enemy tried to keep you trapped in an old story, but I rewrite it with a new ending. Do you feel that slight shiver? That peace that envelops you now is the sign of the record being released. It is the atmosphere of heaven descending upon human time. Every tear you have shed transforms into a line of redemption on my pages. I transform your wounds into decrees of victory. What seemed forgotten was merely kept for the right time, and that right time is now. Today, my court rises in your favor. I review old cases, undo injustices, restore what was lost, and return what was stolen from you. There is nothing the enemy has touched that I cannot restore. My judgment is pure, and my sentence is mercy. I do not call you to remind you of what you did wrong, but to show you that it has already been paid for, already cleansed, already resolved. The guilt that haunted you no longer has power. When I open a new record, I don't just declare liberation, I deliver destiny. Therefore, what I activate today is not just relief, it's a repositioning. Your name returns to the center of the path I have drawn. Everything that went off axis returns to balance. Every person, every opportunity, every answer, everything begins to align again. Nothing is lost when it's in my hands. Now, as you listen, angels are descending with keys in their hands. These keys represent access you didn't have before. They open spiritual doors, relationships, financial paths, and dreams that seem dormant. It's not imagination, it's fulfillment. You have been spiritually repositioned, and heaven recognizes your new identity. When I release my records, the heavens and the earth move. The words that come out of my mouth do not return empty. They travel distances, break chains, and create new realities. Today, I declare that the records of your life have been updated and that your name is written among those who will prosper, among those who will be lifted up, among those who will see the impossible become visible. Write the number 7,777 inches the comments now, and confirm that you are aligned with the decree that heaven has just released. This gesture is the seal of your faith. It is the spiritual signature of one who recognizes that what was a promise has become a favorable sentence. What has been opened will no longer be closed. I have already signed. I have already released. I have already confirmed. The decree has been executed, and your name is surrounded by light. Everything that held you back has broken, and what begins to move now will not stop until you see the result with your own eyes. What was released in the invisible realm now begins to echo on earth. Every word that came from my mouth produces sound and movement. Fulfillment is not just a moment, it is a process that reverberates throughout your life. When I declare something, the universe bends to obey. Now, everything around you begins to align with what I have determined. People will be moved, situations will change, paths will open. None of this is by chance. It is the echo of what has already been completed in the heavens. You can feel the different atmosphere, can't you? There's a lightness where there was once weight. There's hope where there was once doubt. This is the sign that the fulfillment has begun. My spirit breathes upon what seemed dead, and what was stagnant begins to pulsate again. What was impossible is already being prepared to manifest before your eyes. Even if it seems small, it is real. What begins as a distant sound will become a visible testimony. People will begin to remember you without explanation. Unexpected invitations will come. Doors that seemed closed for years will unlock easily. Everything happens because heaven has already given the order. I move hearts, turn keys, break protocols. That which previously ignored you now calls to you. It is divine favor manifesting as a response to your time of faithfulness. Every detail is being coordinated by my hands. Don't worry about the speed, just worry about staying in the flow. The echo of fulfillment has its own rhythm, and it never delays. I didn't give. You were promised to frustrate your heart, but to strengthen your faith. What comes now is the result of everything you have lived through until now. Tears were the price, obedience was the path, and the harvest is inevitable. Nothing that has been planted in my name will fail to bear fruit. As the fulfillment draws near, learn to recognize the signs. They are not grand at first, but they are constant. A peace that arrives without reason, a sudden relief, an unexpected encounter. All this is an echo of what has already come from my mouth. The fulfillment is subtle at first because I want you to recognize it not with your eyes, but with your heart. What comes from me brings calm, not confusion. It brings certainty, not doubt. I do not fail in my promises. Your part is to remain sensitive, not allowing anxiety to steal the pleasure of witnessing the process. To rush the fulfillment is to lose the miracle along the way. Trust in my timing, for it is the only one that does not err. With each breath you take, I advance what I have promised you. Nothing stands still. The echo of heaven continues to sound until all is complete. Remember that what I do in you is not just for you. The blessing that reaches you has a destination. It is a seed for others. Therefore, the fulfillment does not end when you receive it. It multiplies when you share it. There are lives that will be touched because I chose you as a channel. You are a bridge, not a final destination. And it is through you that others will understand that there is still hope. Share this message with someone who needs to feel the same echo of fulfillment in their life. Each time you do this, you amplify the sound of what has already begun. Your obedience becomes an instrument to spread my movement. This is the time to see what was promised become reality. Nothing can stop it, because the decree has been sealed, the records have been released, and the echo of fulfillment is already resounding within you. What began as a promise now becomes a testimony, and what you hear within you is the sound of heaven saying, "It is already done. The waiting time is over. I, the Lord, now move the seasons in your favor." What seemed like silence was only the sound of preparation. The moment has arrived when what was a promise becomes reality. The tears that fell have become seeds, and now they sprout before me in the form of victory. I saw every sacrifice, every time you remained steadfast, even without understanding. Now, heaven responds to your faithfulness. This is the time of change. The gears that were stopped begin to turn again. Doors that were locked begin to open naturally, and what once resisted you now bends. My voice echoes over you like a command. Move forward, for the time of waiting is over. I release you from the feeling of stagnation. What held you back has been dissolved. What delayed you has lost its power. I activate new paths, new connections, and new opportunities. Nothing will ever be the same again. Do not look back in fear of losing what remains. What has passed has fulfilled the role I determined. Now comes the time to flourish. Your faith has matured, and I can trust you more. The turning point is not only around you, it is within you. Your mind aligns with my thoughts. Your heart adjusts to my rhythm. You are no longer the same, and therefore what awaits you will not be the same either. This is the time to see the improbable happen. I place before you opportunities that surpass your logic, doors that could not be opened by human force. I move people and structures to position you where you should be. Everything that seemed blocked begins to respond to my command. I declare movement, and movement begins. I declare life, and what was dead revives. Many will see you and not understand how everything changed so suddenly, but you will know that it wasn't sudden. It was at the right time. Your process was the key that opened this new season. Your patience was the soil where the miracle germinated. What they call luck today, I call harvest. What they call coincidence, I call fulfillment. You simply waited for the exact time when the invisible would become visible. The prophetic turning point is more than a change of phase. It is the materialization of my word. Where there was discouragement, strength enters. Where there was fear, courage enters. Where there was scarcity, abundance enters. Everything changes because I decided to change. My breath of life touches what was dormant and rekindles gifts, dreams, and promises. Your name regains strength and brilliance, not by merit, but by grace. Now you walk on new ground. The old resistances no longer have power, and what blocked you has lost its right to remain. The heavens are open above you. The wind of my presence carries you away from repetition and places you in the flow of the new. It is a time of acceleration, where what would take years happens in days, because the purpose is ripe. You are entering a phase where what you asked for will be granted, and what you forgot to ask for I will also give you, because I know what your heart desires. Your harvest will not only be material, but emotional and spiritual. I restore your courage, your vision, and your ability to dream without fear. Everything that made you doubt only served to make you know who I am now. Click like and subscribe to this channel as an act of faith in this new season that I am opening for you. This gesture is symbolic yet powerful. It represents the yes that heaven recognizes, your surrender to what has already begun. The old cycle ends here and a new season begins. The turning point is no longer a promise, it is a reality. What was silent now sings. What seemed distant draws near. And I declare, your name will be remembered, your path will be illuminated, and the time of waiting will transform into a time of harvest. My son, before giving you what you asked for, I needed to prepare your heart to endure what was to come. Spiritual maturity isn't born in easy days, but in the days when everything seems silent and you still choose to persevere. I saw when you thought about giving up, but you continued, and it was in that silent movement that your faith grew. Maturation doesn't happen when the answers arrive, but when you learn to trust even without understanding the path. I shaped you through pain, but also through hope. Each tear that fell served as a watering can for the garden of your faith. The desert you crossed was not to punish you, but to teach you to recognize my voice in the midst of absence. Now you understand that not every delay was denial, and that every not yet was protection. The mature heart understands that my timing never fails, and that when I seem silent, it is because I am already acting in silence. You were tested in waiting, and now you are ready to bear the weight of the promise. Maturity is not about not feeling fear. It's about continuing to walk even when afraid. It's about looking up when everything around you screams to look down. It's about trusting that the seed you planted still germinates, even when the soil seems dry. Today, you have become someone who doesn't need to see to believe, because you have learned to recognize my touch in the invisible. I refined your heart like gold in the fire. I removed the impurities of haste, doubt, and pride, and what remains is pure, simple, and profound faith. Now you understand that what sustains you is not promises, but presence. That the true miracle is not in what you have, but in who you became while waiting. This is the greatest gift I gave you, a heart capable of enduring even when all the winds blow against it. You don't know how much this pleases me. I have always sought hearts like yours, not perfect, but sincere, not strong, but willing. A mature heart doesn't need to prove itself, it only trusts. It doesn't need to compete, it simply flows. It knows that nothing is taken from it when it is in my hands. I brought you here so that you might realize that you are no longer the same, and that now I can entrust you with what before would have caused you to lose focus. Maturity makes you understand that not every blessing comes in the form you imagine. Sometimes I bless you by taking away, other times I bless you by keeping silent, but in all things I lead you closer to me. That's how I mold my children, not in haste, but with purpose. Because I don't just want to give you results, I want to mold you to reign. And reigning with me requires a teachable heart. Do you feel your soul is lighter now? It's because understanding liberates. When you accept that everything I allowed had meaning, the weight of doubt disappears. Maturity is when you realize that even what hurt was love. Because loving you didn't always mean avoiding your pain, but ensuring your salvation through it. Now, when you look back, you begin to see that each fall pushed you closer to the center of my will. This is the time when you stop asking for signs and become a sign. Your silent testimony will be the reflection of your transformation. Don't seek to prove anything. Your own walk will show that I was with you every step of the way. A mature heart doesn't react, it responds. It doesn't despair because it knows that everything works together. Now breathe and observe. Your inner self is aligned with my spirit, and that is why the new is about to manifest. Do not rush, because the peace you feel is confirmation that you are exactly where you should be. The process is over, the learning is complete, and what comes next will be sustained by this new heart, firm, sensitive, and ready to live what I have prepared. Remain at peace, for the mature heart does not fear time, but only trusts in my rhythm. The time for fulfillment has arrived. What was once only a promise now takes shape before your eyes. The sound of my movement is no longer distant, it is present. The doors that once resisted your prayer open gently, and that which weary you begins to flow naturally. Everything I promised you is being executed, and every detail falls into place as if the universe had been waiting for this exact moment. Nothing has been lost. Everything has been brought to this point. The time of waiting is over. I remove the weight of delay and clothe you with the lightness of fulfillment. What once required effort is now resolved with grace. People who previously didn't see you begin to notice your presence, and what was difficult becomes simple. This is not luck, it is harvest. Your faithfulness has borne fruit, and this is the taste of reward. I am the God who fulfills what he says, and your testimony will be living proof of this. I am opening paths that no one can close. Stalled projects begin to breathe again. Old dreams are rekindled, and what you thought lost resurfaces before you with redoubled strength. It is the time when your faith becomes visible. The invisible materializes, the improbable happens, and the impossible bows to my will. Your name will once again be mentioned in places of honor, and where you were humiliated, I exalt you. Now your environment changes. The air is different, The climate is different. Do you feel the peace that fills your inner self? It is the sign of my fulfillment. Peace is the sound of heaven when something is fulfilled on earth. Everything that hurt you begins to make sense, and you realize that every pain was necessary to bring you here. The season of fulfillment is not just about receiving, it's about understanding the purpose behind the promise. Your hands now hold what your faith has sustained for so long. And I teach you, fulfillment is not the end, it is the beginning of a new phase. What I give you today will be multiplied because my purpose never ends with a blessing, it begins with it. You are living proof that I do not fail, and you will also be an instrument for others to believe. Everything you are experiencing is a reflection of what you sowed in tears, and now you smile. Celebrate, for this is the time to dance on the ground you watered with pain before. The dark days no longer belong to you, and the hope that seemed small transforms into an abundant harvest. Look around you, nothing is the same. The winds have changed, and your life breathes the new. You have entered the season of fullness, and what I began continues to expand. Now I ask something simple of you. Acknowledge what is happening. Don't let the miracle pass you by unnoticed. Gratitude is the seal that keeps the flow of fulfillment active. When you give thanks, you open space for more. Don't become accustomed to abundance, because it is a sign of my presence. Each blessing is a conversation between heaven and your heart. Click like on this video as a gesture of gratitude for all that I have already begun to accomplish in your life. This gesture is small, but it carries the sound of faith and the fragrance of gratitude. When you acknowledge what I am doing, you strengthen what is yet to come. The season of fulfillment does not end now. It extends as long as you remain aware of my actions. Breathe and observe. What I promised is happening. What you awaited has blossomed, and what began within you now transforms everything around you. This is your harvest, and no one can stop it. There is a document with your name written before my throne. It is not a metaphor, it is a spiritual reality. The heavens have recorded your faithfulness, your tears, and every act of faith you performed in silence. I saw when you continued to believe even without proof, and that simple gesture of trust was enough for my seal to be placed upon you. Today, I declare, the decree has been signed. What was under review has been approved. What was pending has been released. What was awaiting confirmation is now confirmed. The angels moved when your name was spoken. They ascended with your prayers, descended with answers. I saw your name amidst the multitude and marked it with my light. Nothing can erase it. No mistake, no guilt, no accusation from the past has the authority to revoke what I have already determined. The document was written with the ink of grace and sealed with my blood. It is a contract of destiny, not of chance. The seal has been placed upon your story. This means that what began within you will not be interrupted. I have ratified everything I promised you and sent orders for its fulfillment to be visible. There is a new energy flowing around you because the heavens are synchronized with your faith. Things that seemed disorganized are beginning to align. Time that seemed lost will be restored. Everything that moves in your name at this moment carries the seal of fulfillment. You don't need human proof when you already have divine approval. The confirmation you sought has arrived, and it is spiritual before it is material. I closed the book of your old pain and opened a new chapter entitled Restitution. The celestial document guarantees that what was promised to you will no longer be delayed. I accelerate processes, restore bonds, and reposition everything that has been displaced. Look around with spiritual eyes. The signs have already begun. People who previously distanced themselves will feel the urge to return. Doors that seemed rusty will open gently. What was denied to you will be offered again, and this time no one can stop it. When I sign, no force can erase it. My signature is eternal, my seal is absolute, and your story has already been marked with victory. Do not fear contrary rumors. Many will not understand how quickly things will change, but you will know that it was not by chance. It was the decree in action. Angels are still at work, carrying the document to places you never imagined reaching. Contracts, alliances, and connections are being reviewed and blessed under my order. What was earthly has now become celestial. What was fragile has become indestructible. I signed this decree not only out of love for you, but because its purpose is linked to the destiny of many. What I place in your hands now is not just a blessing, it is a responsibility. I make you a channel so that what flows in you flows through you. Every word that comes out of your mouth will carry the weight of my authority. You will be an instrument of transformation and a voice of restoration. Keep this moment in your heart, for it marks the beginning of a new reality. The heavenly document does not depend on circumstances. It depends on my will, and my will has already been established. Do you feel the air changing, the atmosphere becoming lighter? It is proof that the decree has been authenticated. Share this message and allow the same decree to reach another name that heaven also wants to sign. The act of sharing is more than a gesture. It's a seed that multiplies. Your obedience causes new names to be included in this same grace. I am expanding the reach of what I have given you. The document has been signed, the seal has been placed, and the sentence is favorable. What was under analysis is now confirmed destiny. Receive this word and walk with the certainty that heaven has already recorded your miracle. Faith is the seal that confirms the decree I signed over your life. Without faith, the promise remains merely written. With faith, it becomes reality. What heaven has released needs your signature, and that signature is belief. When you trust, the invisible manifests itself. When you declare that you believe, the celestial decree is activated like an executive order. Faith is the link that unites eternity with time, what has already been decided up there with what is now happening before your eyes. I don't ask great deeds of you. I only ask that you do not doubt, because doubt interrupts the flow, but faith amplifies it. Every time you choose to believe, even when weary, heaven reacts. Every time you decide to remain, even in silence, I advance in your favor. Do not underestimate the power of a steadfast heart. Faith is not emotion, it is conviction. It does not depend on what you see, but on what you know I am. And I am faithful to fulfill what I promised. There is a spiritual sound that accompanies every act of faith. When you trust, the heavens move, the angels receive new orders, and the environment around you changes. The invisible works, while your heart surrenders control to me. No prayer is forgotten, nor promise delayed through carelessness. What is lacking is not power, but commitment. And your faith is that commitment that sustains the decree. Do not fear if you do not yet see everything happening. Faith does not need proof. It is the proof. What is being prepared is greater than you imagine. The promises are not standing still. They are maturing in due time. And when they ripen, the fruit comes in fullness, without pain or delay. The harvest time comes for those who persevere. Listen to what I'm telling you now. Every act of trust is a renewed seal. When you trust, I write active next to your name in my records. When you doubt, the seal is put on hold, but it is never canceled. because faith is alive and can be rekindled at any moment. All it takes is a decision, a whisper, a simple "I believe" to reignite the flow. Many see the promises, but few uphold them, because few remain steadfast. You were called to stand. The seal of faith is upon you, and it sets you apart. While many grow weary and give up, I give you strength to stand. What separates you from fullness is not time, but perseverance. Those who remain confident see the miracle unfold. The faith I gave you is not fragile. It has already survived the desert, the pain, the delay, and it is still alive. It is this faith that now sustains what heaven has entrusted to you. Take care of it as one guards a treasure. Nourish it with adoration, strengthen it with gratitude, and protect it from doubt. Faith is your most precious inheritance, because it is through it that you make me visible to the world. Don't worry if no one understands what you feel. Faith doesn't need to be explained, only lived. I placed it within you as a sacred code, and it will guide you even when everything seems directionless. When fear tries to overwhelm you, speak to your faith. When uncertainty visits you, remember what I have already done. The seal of faith is not erased by time, it is strengthened by trials. Now, I invite you to remain connected to the source of my voice. Continue listening to what strengthens you, because faith comes from hearing and grows through abiding. Each time you draw closer to me, the seal shines brighter. Subscribe now and remain on this channel of faith, renewing your covenant of trust until its complete fulfillment. This simple gesture is the symbol of your steadfastness. It is the spiritual signature of one who not only received a promise, but decided to live in it. And as long as you remain, I guarantee, what I signed remains in effect, what I promised is underway, and what began in faith will end in glory. Your constancy is the seal that keeps the covenant between us alive, and I will not let anything steal from you what is already confirmed in heaven. My son, the faith I gave you has matured. What was once a cry is now conviction. What was a search is now rest. Certainty is the highest stage of faith, because in it the heart no longer asks, only gives thanks. Doubt has been overcome, fear has been silenced, and your soul begins to walk in rhythm with my will. It is in this state that miracles flow effortlessly, because the trusting heart no longer interferes with God's timing. Certainty is not pride, it is surrender. It is born when you understand that nothing needs to be proven to be real, only believed. While many ask for signs, you realize that the greatest sign is peace. The world screams, but your inner self remains firm, and that is proof that I dwell there. My presence now manifests itself more in silence than in words. You no longer need to chase after what is yours, because what is yours comes to you. I taught you to walk in faith, and now I teach you to remain in certainty. It is the rest for the weary soul, the answer for those who wait on me. Certainty does not accelerate time, it harmonizes it. It puts you in tune with my purpose, and in that harmony, the impossible becomes common. I have already traced every detail of your path, and your only function now is to walk with confidence. When certainty takes hold, the enemy loses his voice. He may try to sow doubt, but he finds no room within you. Because where there is certainty, there is light, and where there is light, no shadow can remain. Your heart now vibrates to the rhythm of eternity. Each beat is a reminder that what I promised is on its way, not by effort, but by decree. Do you feel the lightness that envelops you now? It's the weight of anxiety leaving your body. It's the Holy Spirit taking the place of worry. The certainty makes you realize that you don't need control when you're in good hands, and my hands never fail. I hold your destiny firmly, and what I place under my care is never lost. Many live anxiously trying to understand the process, but you were called to live in rest. Certainty frees you from haste and teaches you to savor each stage of the miracle, because every step has a purpose, every pause has a lesson, every silence has a revelation. While the world pressures you to act, I invite you to remain. And in this remaining, heaven works. You no longer need to prove your faith. It has already been tested by fire. What comes now is serenity. Calm is the new sound of your life, and confidence is the fragrance your spirit exhales. Everything that once kept you awake at night now becomes small compared to the greatness of what I do. The winds that once frightened you now only push the boat toward its right destination. Certainty is like a shelter where nothing can harm you. When you enter it, I become your shield and your anchor. You can rest because time has already been redeemed and the future is already prepared. The promise no longer depends on your strength, but on my faithfulness, and I am faithful to fulfill every word. Remain at peace. What I promised you is already underway, and your trust keeps the path free of interruptions. Do not look at what is still lacking. Contemplate what has already been done. Certainty is the gaze that chooses to see fulfillment before it happens. And whoever lives like this never despairs, because they know that heaven never errs in timing. Let my spirit guide your steps and teach you the value of silence. Sometimes, the greatest act of faith is simply remaining still, and it is in this silence full of trust that I work my greatest miracles. You have come this far because you have learned to trust, and you will continue to move forward because you have chosen to rest. Remain in this peace, and let the power of certainty guide your next steps, because what comes now is the harvest of what you silently believed. I saw your pain when no one else noticed. I saw the effort to maintain a smile while your chest ached. I saw the nights when your pillow held secrets that not even your own voice could speak. Each of your tears was recorded before me, not as cold numbers in a distant file, but as living seeds planted in the soil of my heart. I know the origin of each wound, the exact moment the cut happened, and the reason why you chose to move forward even while bleeding. Nothing you suffer has diminished you in my eyes. On the contrary, it has strengthened you as someone who does not give up on what they know to be true. Your pain was not punishment, it was refinement. The desert you crossed was not abandonment, it was training ground. There I taught you to distinguish my voice from the noise, to feel my presence even when the landscape was harsh. Your soul learned to breathe deeply when there seemed to be no air. And that breath that now sustains you was born from the times when you thought you could not endure. You were molded in the furnace where haste dissolves and pride is detached. And what remains is a heart that knows how to wait without losing hope. I was with you every step of the way. I sat beside you when the answers didn't come. I embraced you when the cold of loneliness threatened to freeze your affections. I gently pushed your story forward when your strength no longer carried you. I didn't allow sadness to define you, only to teach you. There are marks on you that won't disappear, but not as reminders of defeat. They will be scars that tell a story of overcoming. Whoever looks at you closely will see that it hurt, but will also see that pain wasn't your master, it was your teacher. Now I tell you, the time has come when recorded tears become signed responses. Every accumulated tear has been counted as an intercession, and that intercession has transformed into a decree of restoration. I make flowers bloom in the cracks of your ground. I return the sparkle to your eyes and the lightness to your step. The weight you carried no longer suits you. I remove it from your shoulders like one who unties an old knot. The memory will continue to exist, but it will lose the power to wound you. The memory will cease to hurt and will begin to illuminate. I want you to notice the signs of the healing that has already begun. The irritation that visited you for no reason will disappear like dust carried by the wind. The repetitive sadness loses its script. The scenes stop repeating themselves. The day dawns with a cheerfulness that hasn't been present for a long time. Those words that struck you like arrows now ricochet without piercing, because your inner self has been covered with the armor of my love. You are not as fragile as you thought. You are sensitive, and this sensitivity, when surrendered to me, becomes discernment. I don't erase the past, pretending nothing happened. I redeem the past, so it may serve your future. I transform losses into paths, fractures into bridges, voids into spaces for exploration. The people who hurt you will not have the last word. I myself will be your defense and your rest. The justice I work in your favor is not resentful. It is clean, patient, wise. It doesn't bind you to what hurt. It leads you to what is born anew. I don't ask you to forget. I teach you to remember with serenity. I also saw the times when you tried to protect yourself by closing too many doors. I respect your pace, but today I open a window through which light enters without hurting you. Trust in me does not expose you to danger, it exposes you to grace. I let you feel the security of an embrace that demands nothing in return, of a presence that does not threaten to leave when the applause ceases. It is I who am giving you back the ability to cling without fear, to give without losing yourself, to love without negating yourself. What I generate in you now is a discreet and constant strength. It is not a loud noise, it is a foundation. It does not depend on mood, climate, or the approval of others. It is a structure that sustains, a pillar that does not yield when the wind changes. The courage I place in you is not the absence of trembling. It is the certainty that even trembling you will not fall. The peace I pour out is not false silence. It is background music that continues playing when external voices shout. I want you to understand, your pain was never wasted. It has become the language that will teach comfort to others. There will be people who will approach you in ways you can't even imagine, and you will know how to listen to them because the subtext hurt you first. You don't need speeches. Your presence will already be a balm. I entrust to you this silent ministry of care, this rare art of wiping away tears without asking too many questions. What wounded, your heart becomes medicine in my hands. Now, receive liberation from self-judgment. Stop blaming yourself for not being faster, stronger, more perfect. The perfection I desire in you has another name: wholeness. It is not the absence of flaws, it is the union of the parts. I take your pieces, align the edges, sew up the tears, and no thread remains visible because my grace is a finishing touch of excellence. You will emerge, recognizing your history, but without being reduced to it. You will know where you came from, but you will walk towards who I have made you. Breathe with me. Feel how your body makes room for peace. This relief is not a suggestion, it's an intervention. I'm touching tense nerves, inflamed memories, automatic responses that hurt you every time. I'm creating a new reflex in you. Instead of withdrawal, rest. Instead of defense, trust. Instead of escape, permanence. The world around you may not notice immediately, but you will know that something definitive has happened, and in time, those around you will recognize the same. I accompany you in this chapter where tears cease to be fuel and become testimony. I lift you up gently, reposition you with honor, clothe you with dignity. Shame loses its voice, guilt dissolves, the feeling of inadequacy gives way to the awareness of who you are in me. The love I pour out is not theory, it is experience that warms, calms, and repositions. Write "I receive" in the comments and confirm that you accept the healing and comfort that I am pouring out upon you now. Remember this moment. Mark it inwardly. When the temptation of sadness visits you again, remember this encounter. You will not return to the point before. The pain was recorded, yes, but the verdict has changed. Now it is the raw material of purpose. Walk on. Your step no longer carries the old weight. Your gaze no longer seeks what hurt you. You know where to go, and I will go with you. You thought that no one saw your efforts, that your prayers were lost in the air, and that your faithfulness made no difference. But I tell you, nothing went unnoticed. Every act of love you made in silence, every renunciation, every time you chose good even when tired, was recorded in my book of justice. I watched when you sowed in dry ground, and I kept each seed in my heavenly storehouses. Now these seeds begin to germinate not where the eyes see, but where destiny is formed, in the invisible. The reward I prepare for you is not momentary, it is structural. It doesn't appear all at once, it builds within you, shaping your mind, strengthening your soul, expanding your heart. Your harvest begins as an inner transformation before manifesting outwardly. Because before I give you what you ask for, I make you capable of sustaining what I will give you. And that, my child, is already the first reward. There are things happening right now in your favor that you can't even imagine. My movement doesn't depend on evidence, but on obedience. While you obey, heaven works. The invisible is not empty, it is fertile ground. It is there that I plant relationships, opportunities, healings, and miracles that will arrive at the right time. If I showed you everything that is already in motion, your heart would overflow with joy. Therefore, I only ask that you continue believing, because what now seems like silence is, in fact, me aligning the backstage of your victory. Your simplest acts were the ones that touched my heart the most. When you chose to forgive, I moved an angel. When you decided not to retaliate, I clothed you in honor. When you offered help to the one who hurt you, I wrote "approved son" next to your name. You didn't understand, but I promoted you while you served. I exalted you while you humbled yourself. Your reward began when you didn't give up. There is a harvest that cannot be measured in numbers, but in peace. And this peace is coming like a gentle river upon you. It does not depend on circumstances, it is not shaken by what is still lacking, and it is not interrupted by surrounding noises. It is the fruit of what you have sown in silence. Your heart begins to taste fullness even before seeing the results. This is a sign. The invisible is at work, and the harvest has already begun. I am preparing you to receive what you asked for without losing your balance, because I don't give you blessings to distract you, but to guide you. The unseen reward is the most precious, for it is in it that you learn to trust in me with your eyes closed. I take you to a level where faith ceases to be a search and becomes a dwelling place. He who has learned to wait on me with serenity already possesses more than any treasure. Now, pay attention. The signs will begin to appear subtly, almost imperceptibly. Small favors, unexpected reunions, messages that arrive at the right time, decisions that change course in your favor. None of this is by chance. They are sprouts of what was sown long ago. It is the invisible becoming visible little by little. What seems discreet today will grow until it becomes undeniable. But remember, my son, don't confuse reward with spectacle. What I will give you will not be for your vanity, but for your growth. The invisible reward is made of peace that cannot be explained, of strength that cannot be measured, of hope that does not fade. When I bless you, what changes first is your gaze. And when your gaze changes, the whole world changes with you. Those who judged you by appearances will see what only the unseen could build. The time for your justification has arrived, not through words, but through fruits. What will sprout from your life will be undeniable, because it was cultivated with tears and watered with faith. I myself breathe upon the seeds I planted in you, and nothing will prevent them from blossoming. You will feel the wind changing direction. Where there was closure, there will be a path. Where there was delay, there will be acceleration. Where there was loneliness, there will be reunion. The invisible rewards manifest themselves in the form of lightness, in the form of divine encounters, in the form of the right doors opening. This is the time of silent restitution, the kind that needs no announcement, because it bears the signature of heaven. Click like on this video as a gesture of gratitude for all that I am already doing in your favor, even if you cannot yet see it. This gesture is prophetic. It's your way of saying, I recognize the invisible at work. And when you recognize it, the invisible accelerates. What seemed distant is already underway, and what was hidden begins to reveal itself. Your rewards are on their way, not like frightening lightning, but like illuminating sunrises. You are proof that heaven heals those who sow with tears and reap with faith. The invisible is working, and the result will be so clear that everyone will recognize you were faithful, and now you are being rewarded. Now breathe. What was once pain begins to dissolve in the presence of my spirit. The weight that has accompanied you for so long begins to leave your body like a burden that can finally be left on the ground. I pass over you like a gentle breeze, and everything that held you back loses its power to remain. The pain that screamed for so long is silenced, and in its place is born a peace that needs no explanation. You no longer need to fight against what has already been overcome. The time for resistance is over. I place my hands upon your head and declare, what was at war within you now finds rest. I cleanse the sound of heavy thoughts, silence the voices that accused you, and restore your mind so that you may hear the sound of my love. There is no guilt where there is forgiveness, and forgiveness has been poured out in fullness upon you. Do you feel the lightness that arrives? It's the certainty that the past has lost the right to control you. I enter the places in your heart where even you didn't dare to. Go and remove what remains of the pain. The trauma dissolves, the memory is purified, the fear transforms into learning. You are no longer the person that suffering molded. You are the reflection of the grace that rescued you. I remake your inner self like a potter who, without haste, reconstructs the broken vase and makes it more beautiful than it was before. Relief descends like gentle rain upon dry land, first moistening, then nourishing, then causing sprouting. My presence penetrates ancient layers, dissolving the hardness of weariness, softening the rigidity of pride, and restoring sensitivity to your soul. The heart that once beat out of rhythm now stabilizes. Breathing returns to the rhythm of peace. Life reorganizes itself without noise, and you realize there is no need for haste, because what I restore is permanent. You should no longer carry memories as proof of pain, but as testimonies of overcoming. What once made you cry will now be remembered as a turning point. Each tear that dried became part of the landscape where grace flourished. I removed the bitterness from your memories and left only the taste of learning. Suffering is no longer your identity. Now what defines you is solace. The peace I send doesn't come from the absence of problems, but from the awareness that I am in everything. I transform chaos into balance, emptiness into purpose, and silence into music. What was once struggle is now spontaneous prayer. What was once fear is now trust. And when you realize it, you will see that you are smiling again, not because everything has changed on the outside, but because I have healed you on the inside. As I speak, a wave of warmth envelops you. It is my spirit touching you, healing invisible wounds. I release tension from your shoulders, relax your soul, undo the knot that time has tightened in your chest. You don't need to prove your strength. You only need to allow my lightness to guide you. Relief is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of peace. Allow me to remain in you as a constant rest. My presence is not a visit, it is a dwelling place. I did not come to relieve for a moment, I came to sustain forever. When you feel weary, remember that the place of your rest is in me. I do not ask for explanations, only surrender. Do you feel the air entering more freely? It is the Holy Spirit breathing with you. I cleanse your inner self, like one who opens windows after a long night. I let in light where there was only darkness, and the sun of my grace warms all that was cold. Sadness no longer finds a home. Discouragement loses its address. Your soul finds space to dream again. Now, your body adapts to the new rhythm. Peace instead of tension, hope instead of expectation, love instead of fear. You don't need to prepare for the worst because the worst is over. What comes now is light, constant, and sweet. I teach you to live without the weight of control, without the fear of tomorrow, without the guilt of yesterday. Learn to exist in peace, because peace is the ground where miracles flourish. I restore you completely, mind, body, and spirit. The rest you feel is not sleep, it is rebirth. It's as if I held you in my arms and said, "Be still, I'll take care of everything." And I do. I take care of the details, the absences, the worries, the things you can't even name. You are safe. Remain in this presence and let the peace that I have poured out upon you continue to heal what still remains within you. This is the peace that doesn't end when the video finishes, because it doesn't come from sound or words. It comes from the actual touch of my hand. I am the God who gives you rest, who replaces tears with comfort and effort with grace. Relief has descended and will remain with you. You have been healed, welcomed, and repositioned to live the new life that is to come. As you listen to these words, an invisible movement has already begun around you. My angels rise in response to my voice, and each one carries your name engraved in a celestial order. They are not far away, they are on a mission. Some advance to open paths that do not yet exist. Others remove obstacles that have tried to delay you. And there are also those who guard you, preventing evil from touching where my promise dwells. Your cry activated a command in heaven. When you decided to trust even in the midst of weariness, the heavenly gates opened and the army that serves you began to march. They descend in silence, but the impact of their presence is felt in everything. The atmosphere changes, the environment aligns, the impossible begins to move. They are messengers of my faithfulness, instruments of my fulfillment, protectors of what belongs to you. There are angels entering homes, undoing words spoken against you, cleansing the spiritual environment where there was confusion and discord. They organize what the enemy tried to confuse, put everything back in its place, restore relationships, and remove alliances that did not come from me. I send these guardians to protect you while you sleep, to accompany you when you walk, to inspire you when you doubt. You are not alone. There are entire armies moving in your favor. Every time you seek me sincerely, the light of heaven ignites, and angels gather around your altar. They translate your cry into songs, and the sound of these songs rises before me as a pleasing offering. There is an invisible choir interceding for the fulfillment of the promises I made to you. You think you walk alone, but there are entire ranks accompanying you. The air you breathe now is imbued with celestial presence. My angels have clear orders. No evil plan will prosper. They intercept what has been launched, erase contrary words, cut spiritual ties that bound you to old cycles. Where there was blockage, they open. Where there was delay, they accelerate. Where there was darkness, they bring light. And when your faith rises, they multiply. Their presence becomes more intense. When your heart chooses to believe. There are places you haven't yet reached, but your presence has already been sent through them. They prepare encounters, align connections, and smooth what was once rough. People who once resisted your name will now feel peace upon meeting you, because the angels will already be there first. All that is mine moves with precision. Nothing happens out of time. Nothing is left to chance. Heaven operates with order, and that order is in action now. When you feel peace where there was once fear, you will know that an angel has passed by. When you notice doors opening effortlessly, it is a sign that an angel has turned the key. When the weight in your chest gives way to calm, it is the touch of their presence, driving away what oppressed you. They don't need to be seen to be real. Just believe, and the signs will become unmistakable. I send the heavenly army not only to protect you, but to propel you forward. They are not ahead of you by chance. They are paving the way for the future I have planned. And what has been prepared is greater than you can imagine, for it bears the mark of eternity. This is the time when heaven works tirelessly in your favor, and nothing can stop what I have determined. Share this message and send the angels of heaven to touch other hearts. Every time you spread my word, the army expands. Each person reached becomes territory taken over by the light. What begins with you spreads, and the sound of my army's wings echoes over new lives. The movement is real, the presence is constant, and victory is certain. Remain at peace, for the angels are on the march, and your name goes before them as the banner of the promise I have already fulfilled. What you feel now is not imagination, it is confirmation. My spirit begins to manifest within you, and your body responds to the touch of the divine. There is a gentle warmth in your chest, a new lightness in your breath, a shiver that does not cause fear, but peace. These are signs of my presence. I am not theory, I am reality moving within you. What was once only a promise now vibrates in every cell of your being. Heaven and earth connect at this instant, and you are the point where they meet. I speak in many ways, and today I speak through what you feel. This weight that has been lifted is no coincidence. The calm that has descended upon you is a testament to the action of my spirit. I approach silently, but the atmosphere changes because I am the very sound of peace. When I touch, time slows down, fears lose their power, and the heart understands without words. I am not distant, I am within. The distance between the invisible and the visible is gone. My angels continue to move around you, and each one confirms the order that has already been given. They adjust the environment, remove distractions, and make your spirit perceive what the mind cannot explain. You don't need to struggle to feel, just remain. What comes from me requires no effort, only surrender. Your sensitivity is proof that the connection has been established. I allow you to feel the invisible because I want you to know that you are at the center of my will. These sensations are not fleeting emotions, they are a spiritual response. When your heart warms, it is because I have breathed upon it. When your skin tingles, it is because my glory has enveloped you. When you breathe deeper, it is because the air around you has been filled with my presence. You are not merely hearing a word, you are being touched by it. I now envelop you in a cloak of confirmation. No doubt can withstand this touch. I silence the noises of uncertainty, and your inner self begins to understand what the mind still tries to question. Faith transforms into conviction, and conviction transforms into rest. Your spirit ignites like a flame receiving new oxygen. The fire does not consume you, it purifies you. Remember how many times you asked for a sign. This is the sign. The peace you feel is the seal of fulfillment. The emptiness that dwelt in your heart becomes a dwelling place for my spirit. Everything that seemed asleep awakens. Your spiritual sensitivity is the bridge between what you dream and what you live. Do not fear it, embrace it. I show you my power not to impress you, but to remind you that you are safe. As you listen, new layers of resistance crumble. Something is moving in the air, not because the sound has changed, but because your perception has changed. You are seeing the invisible with the eyes of faith, and that is the greatest miracle. When you feel surrounded by peace for no reason, remember, it is I confirming it to you. When you feel strength without having slept well, it is I renewing you. When you are moved for no apparent reason, it is I pouring out love. My touch is not the same for everyone, but it is unique to each one. Some feel warmth, others cry silently, others simply know that something has changed. And that is how I confirm my covenant, in a personal, direct, and unmistakable way. From today onward, every time the wind blows differently, you will know that it is my spirit visiting you again. Every time the atmosphere changes without explanation, you will recognize the angelic movement. Write the number 7,777 inches the comments and seal this confirmation with your faith. This number symbolizes fullness, the completion of a cycle. When you write, you declare that you recognize the touch of heaven upon you. It is a small gesture, but in the spiritual world, it transforms into testimony. Your faith is not only heard, it is recorded. And this record, just like the touch you now feel, will be remembered as the day the invisible became real. Breathe in peace. Heaven has confirmed it. The movement has begun, and nothing can interrupt what I have already started in you. I tell you now, the pact between us has been renewed. It is not a new agreement. It is the same love reaffirmed. It is the same sealed commitment, now deeper, more mature, more conscious. You have grown, and your faith has too. Before you sought me out of fear of losing, now you seek me out of gratitude. Before you asked for proof, now you recognize signs. Your heart has matured in the fire of waiting, and what was once only a promise is now a living covenant. Renewing the pact requires no effort, only surrender. I'm not calling you to start over. I'm calling you to continue with me. What we have wasn't lost in the failures. It was only purified by them. I watched over you on the days you doubted, and even then I didn't turn away. I stayed because love doesn't give up, and my love doesn't know how to leave. I waited for you to find your way again, and when you returned, I didn't ask for explanations. I simply embraced you and reinforced the bond that has always existed. This is the moment when your soul returns to rest in me. There is no outstanding debt, no sin that I have not erased, no distance that I have not crossed to be here. Your story was marked by falls, yes, but each one served to prove to you that my love is constant. And now I tell you, what unites you to me is eternal, and nothing can break what was established in the blood of my Son. You don't need to feel worthy, because dignity comes from me. I clothe you in purity, cover your flaws with grace, and restore to your spirit the security that the world tried to steal. The covenant between us is not made of human promises, it is made of purpose. You were chosen before time existed, and now you are returning to the center of what has always been yours. Do you feel the presence that surrounds you? It is the symbol of the restored covenant. I bring you back to the table, where there is no shame, only belonging. You are not a visitor, you are an heir. I give you a seat in the place that has always been reserved for you. What is mine is yours. What I planned for you remains intact. Even when you strayed from the path, destiny remained prepared. Renewing the covenant is more than blessing you, it's reminding you who you are. You are part of my house, my plan, my inheritance. Nothing you have experienced excludes you. Everything guides you. Every pain has brought you closer to the altar. Every desert has taught you to recognize the oasis. Now I enfold you again in the eternal covenant, love, provision, and purpose. The enemy tried to convince you that you had been forgotten, but the truth is that your name never left my heart. With each of your prayers, the pact was rekindled. Each time you chose good, even wounded, the bond grew stronger. I never broke the promise. I only waited for the right time for you to be ready too. And today, that time has come. Renewal is invisible, but real. It happens as your heart opens. The sound you hear is not just music. It is the echo of heaven, celebrating your return to wholeness. The angels who guard you also renew their vow to accompany you until the fulfillment of each promise. From this moment on, everything that you do will bear the mark of my presence. You will walk with greater clarity, speak with more anointing, and feel more lightness because you are back in the original covenant. Click like and subscribe as a sign that you remain in this pact that I renewed with you today. This gesture is symbolic, but heaven recognizes simple acts of faith. It is your way of saying, I remain, and I, from my throne, record this remaining as a seal upon your name. The covenant has been renewed, the bond has been remade, and communion has been restored. Nothing will separate you from my love. Walk in peace, for the covenant is alive, and you are part of it. My child, listen carefully. Not every open door is mine. There are paths that shine like gold, but hide traps. There are voices that use my name, but do not carry my presence. The enemy has learned to disguise haste as purpose and appearance as direction. Therefore, before running towards what seems right, learn to wait for what is true. Discernment is your greatest protection in this time. I do not lead you with anxiety, but with peace. The opportunities that come from me do not pressure you, they confirm you. They do not bring confusion, they bring clarity. When it is I who opens the way, you feel rest even in the face of challenge. When it is not I, everything seems urgent, heavy, and the heart loses its calm rhythm. The voice of the enemy always pushes, my voice always guides. Learn to distinguish the tone. You have gone through a process of refinement, and now you need to use what you have learned. Spiritual maturity is not about how many promises you receive, but about how many doors you know how to wait for. False opportunities are shortcuts disguised as destiny. They promise speed, but demand a high price in peace. And peace is the most accurate sign of my will. Where it is lacking, I am not. I know that sometimes tiredness makes you accept the first bright spot that comes along. But remember, what is genuine doesn't compete for your attention. What is mine knows how to wait for its time. I don't give you gifts to distract you, I give you directions to align you. And all true direction is born from silence. Before accepting any offer, consult your spirit. I always answer those who listen to me before deciding. False opportunities will come with pretty words, seductive promises, and praise that inflates the ego. They will come with proposals that seem like answers, but hide deception. That is why I tell you, observe the fruit before the appearance. Where there is manipulation, there is no blessing. Where there is vainglory, there is no purpose. What comes from me does not need to prove its worth, because my seal speaks for itself. I am teaching you discernment not to deprive you, but to protect you. Often, what seems like loss is deliverance. I have already freed you from alliances that would prevent you from growing, from doors that would open too soon, from people who would smile while emptying your heart. Your obedience has saved you from pain you will never see, and that is a kind of miracle that few recognize. Do not fear the no's I gave you. They were doors that closed because your future is more important than your present moment. Every refusal that hurt you will now be remembered as a detour avoided. Obedience sometimes hurts, but it always leads you to the center of my will. When I denied, it was out of love. When I delayed, it was out of care. When I remained silent, it was because the noise of your expectations needed to cease so that you could hear me better. Listen to what I'm telling you. The enemy cannot take what is yours, but he can try to convince you to trade it. He will try to offer shortcuts, easy promises, and wide paths. But I teach you to recognize the false by the absence of peace and the true by the constancy of my spirit. When something comes from me, it doesn't distance you from your roots. It brings you closer to them. Your discernment will be the shield that prevents further wounds. You already have enough wisdom to identify what no longer serves you. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just remain in the rhythm I have established. The right time is not the fastest. It's the safest. And what is safe is what springs from my breath. Remain vigilant, but without fear. False opportunities will not prevail over you. My spirit will be the filter that deciphers intentions, the beacon that prevents you from stumbling. I will not allow wrong choices to steal your future. Walk calmly, and I, myself, will confirm what is yours. Let my peace be the arbiter of every decision, because where it dwells, there lies the right path. The calm you feel now is a sign of my presence, teaching you to recognize the truth. Continue in this rhythm, and nothing will confuse you, because your discernment is proof that you are already at the level of one who walks with celestial wisdom. My answer to you is simple, yet powerful. It is peace. It doesn't come with noise, nor with visible signs. It arrives gently, but fills everything. When you are silent within, you realize that the air changes, that the weight lessens, and that the heart, even without understanding, finds rest. This is what happens when I speak. The sound of my voice is the silence that calms. The presence of my spirit is the rest that replaces fear. Many times you expect grand confirmations, but my way of acting is delicate. I don't come in a storm, I come in a breeze. I don't push my way in, I enter with permission. And when I arrive, the soul knows. Peace is the seal of heaven upon your decision. When it settles in, it's because the path is aligned with my purpose. When it's absent, it's because I want you to stop and look again. The peace I give is not the kind the world offers. The world's peace depends on circumstances. Mine depends on trust. It's possible to be in the midst of a storm and still feel serenity, because whoever has me within need not fear what is outside. This peace doesn't come from results, it comes from certainty. Certainty that I am with you, that your story is under control, that no plan made against you will prevail. I have given you signs before. And now I give you the greatest of all, tranquility. The heart that rests in me does not need to chase after what heaven has already prepared. What is yours is on its way, and nothing rushed will replace what is eternal. Peace is the interval between the promise and the fulfillment, where you learn to trust without seeing. Do you feel this silence that envelops you? It is not emptiness, it is presence. The stillness that surrounds you now is the environment where I operate. It is there that I reorganize, remake, and restore. Your part is simply to remain in this inner place where fear does not rule. Peace is a dwelling place, not a visitor, and when you choose to live in it, the enemy loses his voice. Many confuse peace with inertia, but true peace is movement without noise. It is the force that guides you at the right pace, without haste, without delays. It is the fuel that keeps your spirit burning, even when circumstances seem cold. Those who learn to move based on peace do not wear themselves out. They become stronger, because peace is the sign that I am guiding my steps. If your heart is restless, do not blame yourself. Just be silent. My voice does not compete with the noise of doubt. Wait, let the stillness return. When the agitation subsides, you will hear me clearly. Peace is the translator of my will. I do not speak urgently. I speak clearly, and everything that comes from me carries balance. Do not seek answers in noise. They are born in stillness. My spirit moves gently, and when he speaks, everything within you realigns. The mind slows down, the body relaxes, and the spirit understands. This is the way. This is the sound of heaven, not thunder, but a sustaining whisper. And when you realize it, doubt gives way to trust, and uncertainty transforms into gratitude. Peace is the confirmation that you no longer need to fight for answers. Now is the time to trust, not to fear. What I began, I finish. What I promised you, I fulfill. And what seemed distant is now drawing near. Do you feel your heart lighten? That's the sign. Faith has matured, and anxiety has lost its power. You are not adrift. You are being guided. Click like on this video as a sign that God's peace is already dwelling within you. This simple gesture is your silent amen, the acknowledgement that I am speaking to you at this very moment. The peace I have given you is permanent. Guard it as a compass, as a filter, as protection. If something steals your calm, it is not mine. If something brings you rest, it comes from me. From today onward, let peace decide, because it is my purest answer, and it is in it that your path will prosper. I know the silence bothers you. You've grown accustomed to quick answers, visible signs, constant confirmations. But now, what surrounds you is calm, and this calm is not absence, it is my way of acting. Silence is the sound of the work you don't yet see. When it seems like nothing is happening, it's because everything is being prepared. There's a profound movement happening behind the scenes of time, and every detail is being adjusted so that you lack nothing when I say now. Silence is not punishment, it's strategy. I hide you to protect you. I silence you so you can mature. I delay you so you can align. While you think you are waiting, I am working. People are being moved, doors are being restored, paths are being cleared. Everything I promised you is being prepared with precision. What is eternal is not done in haste, and what is true needs time. Therefore, when I am silent, it is because my focus is entirely on you. You can't imagine how much the invisible works for you while you rest. Each of your prayers becomes raw material for what I build. Each tear you held back became the foundation of your future. I gather your gestures of faithfulness and transform them into bricks of destiny. The house I am building in your life is firm because it was made of constancy. Nothing will be improvised, and nothing will be taken from you. Silent preparation is the greatest act of love I offer you. In it, I spare you unnecessary wear and tear, battles you don't need to fight, and paths you are not yet able to walk. I strengthen you without you realizing it. What seemed like a pause is training. What seemed empty is space for the new. You are being perfected in stillness, because it is in stillness that faith is purified. Do you feel the atmosphere around you subtly shifting? It's time being attuned to my rhythm. Every minute that seems to linger is, in fact, refinement. I remove what doesn't align with what's to come. I break down old structures, remove excesses, and leave only the essential. I am preparing your heart so that it doesn't get lost in the hour of abundance. I am shaping your ears so that you may recognize my voice in the midst of the crowd. When you don't hear me, observe the details. I communicate in subtleties, in the encounter that seemed casual, in the detour that saved you, in the door that closed without explanation. Every silence has a message, and every absence is in fact a different presence. I speak to you in intervals, because I know you need to learn to hear the rhythm of eternity. It is slower, but more precise. Do not believe that time is standing still. Time is being sanctified. You are being positioned with precision. The places where you are not yet ready are rearranging themselves to receive you. The people you will need are being transformed, and even your words are being calibrated so as not to hurt when it is time to speak. Silence is not delay, it is divine synchronicity. Those who trust in me during silence receive something that the hasty will never have: stability. Because haste creates movement. Silence creates roots, and that is why, when the season changes, you will not fall. I have prepared you to endure. What I have built with you in silence will sustain what will be seen in public. When the right time comes, everything will seem to happen all at once, but you will know it wasn't sudden. It was the result of what I did out of sight. Every door, every answer, every blessing, all were being shaped during this very period when you thought I wasn't speaking. Now you understand that my silence is a kind of speech that only the mature understand. Share this message and bring this divine calm to those who are experiencing God's time of silence. As you share, the same spirit that comforts you moves to reach another weary heart. What today seems like a pause is, in truth, the interval between the seed and the sprout. And when the new is born, you will remember this moment. The silence was not emptiness, it was womb. Everything I generate is born in silence, and what comes from me when it arrives is never lost. My child, listen, the time of scarcity is over. I, the Lord, declare that every limitation that surrounded you, emotional, spiritual, or material, begins to fall now. Scarcity is not only the lack of what is seen, but the absence of what is believed. The enemy tried to convince you that little was all you could have, but I come to open your eyes to the abundance that has always been prepared for you. Abundance is not luxury, it is a promise. I did not create you to survive, but to flourish. For a long time, you believed that prospering was a risk, as if living life to the fullest was selfishness. But I tell you, the prosperity that comes from me is balance, not vanity. It doesn't inflate the ego, it expands purpose. What I will give you will not be to distance you from me, but to show the world who I am through you, because scarcity doesn't suit a child of the King. Your mindset is being freed now. The poverty that binds you is not merely financial, it is emotional, it is spiritual, it is the habit of settling for crumbs when I have prepared a banquet. I teach you to think like an heir and not like a beggar. What is mine is yours, and what is in my hands never ends. If I gave you life, I will not deny you sustenance. If I gave you purpose, I will not leave you without the resources to fulfill it. Your faith was tested in scarcity, but now it will be rewarded in abundance. Doors that once seemed locked open because the time of restraint is over. I place you in a station where everything that was stagnant begins to flow again. Your mind begins to attract what previously eluded you. Ideas, opportunities, and connections that seemed lost resurface like rivers returning to their course. There is a liberation happening within you right now. The fear of not having, the fear of asking, the fear of dreaming, all of that is being uprooted. I teach you to trust without anxiety, to receive without guilt, and to multiply without fear. Because what I give you does not come from scarcity, it comes from the source that never runs dry. I am the God who creates abundance in the midst of the desert. I will no longer give you just what you need. I will give you enough to bless others. The abundance I send is not for ostentation, it is for mission. I trust you more because I can trust your heart. You have learned the value of little, and therefore you will know how to care for much. Liberation from scarcity begins when you stop fearing fullness. A free mind opens space for the flow of heaven. Look around. Limitations are losing their power. Places that once seemed closed are becoming accessible. People who once distanced themselves are returning with purpose. The time of waiting is ending, and the time of harvest is beginning. I teach you to see my abundance not as a reward, but as your identity. You were born to live with fullness of love, peace, purpose, and provision. Do not believe any more the lies they taught. The desert was only a school, not your destiny. Limitation was training, not a sentence. Scarcity showed you the value of the essential, but now I teach you to live fully. Because what comes from me is overflowing, and whoever remains in me never lacks. Your house will be full, your heart will be light, and your spirit will be grateful. You will learn to give with joy and receive with humility. The abundance I will give you will not distance you from the altar, it will keep you closer to it. Heaven is releasing new resources, new ideas, and new paths. Everything that has been withheld is beginning to be released. Sign up now as a sign that you have chosen to live in the abundance I have prepared for you. This act is symbolic, yet prophetic. It is the gesture of one who leaves the desert and enters the promised land. I declare, scarcity has been broken. The cycle of lack has ended. You will live long enough for yourself and to bless many. Because when I liberate someone from scarcity, I liberate entire generations through them. You are the beginning of a new legacy, the legacy of divine abundance. The faith I gave you is not small, it is expansive. It was not placed in you to keep you where you are, but to push you to places you have not yet seen. Faith does not limit you to reality, it connects you to the supernatural. When you believe, the impossible loses its name. When you declare, the invisible begins to take shape. Everything that exists was born from a word, and I gave you the same power to create with what you believe. The faith that sustains you now is the same faith that moves heaven. It grows when practiced, multiplies when shared, and strengthens when tested. Every time you chose to believe in the midst of fear, your faith expanded. Every time you stood firm without understanding, you dug deeper into the roots of your trust. Now, what seemed like a seed has become a tree, and that tree begins to bear shade and fruit. You were not created to believe only in what you see, but to generate what does not exist. Faith is the ground where I build miracles, and the more space you give me, the more I can do. Therefore, expand your heart, expand your plans, expand your way of thinking. Do not limit what I can accomplish to only what seems logical. Logic is the boundary of man. Faith is the territory of God. The enemy tried to convince you that dreaming too much would be arrogance, but dreaming in me is obedience, because I myself place the dreams within you. They are seeds of heaven planted in your soul. Do not doubt what I have shown you in secret, because I do not show what I do not intend to fulfill. If I have let you see, it is because I have already prepared it. You only need to believe until the end. Faith is not passive waiting, it is spiritual action. When you speak with conviction, you move the invisible. When you pray with authority, the atmosphere bends to the sound of your voice. You are a co-author of what I write, and your trust is the pen with which I sign the next chapters. Therefore, speak what you believe, declare what you hope for, and keep your mouth aligned with what I have promised. What you pronounce with faith is not a wish, it is a decree. Everything that is growing within you is a result of what you believed, even without seeing. I took you out of limitation, and now I teach you to live in the flow of expansion. When faith grows, the territory changes. You are no longer the same. What once frightened you now inspires you. What once seemed distant is now within reach of your word, because faith opens paths that effort never could. The faith I gave you is a bridge between what was and what will be. It connects the healed past to the prepared future. As you move forward, it builds a path beneath your feet. Even if the ground doesn't exist, when you decide to take the step, the ground forms. That is the essence of believing, walking on the invisible as if it were already concrete. That is how my children live, not by what they see, but by what they know exists in me. Do you feel the growth happening within you right now? It's the beginning of expansion. I broaden your limits, enlarge your tents, and teach you to receive without fear. Faith that expands also learns to share, because what grows within you is not just for you, it's meant to overflow. When you bless, you multiply. When you believe in the impossible for another, you plant the next harvest for yourself. Do not let conformity diminish the size of your dreams. You were not called to be sufficient. You were called to be overflowing. Your God is limitless, and those who walk with me cannot live bound by human measures. Look up, broaden your vision, because what comes from me cannot be contained in small expectations. Write in the comments, I believe in divine abundance, and confirm with your faith that you are prepared to live without limits in what I have prepared. When you write, the heavens move. This gesture is your spiritual signature, the declaration that you have entered into the expansion of purpose. Your faith now creates space, attracts response, and releases movement. I am expanding your territory, your influence, your provision, and your voice. What you believe defines what you will experience. And today, your faith grows, and with it grows everything I have planned for you. Now is the time for awakening. What was sleeping within you begins to stir. I breathe upon your inner self and rekindle what seemed extinguished. My presence awakens gifts, awakens discernment, awakens sensitivity to heavenly things. What you once felt and thought had lost its power now returns with intensity. I am activating what I planted in you from the beginning. The awakening of the Spirit is not emotion, it is transformation. It is when you realize that you are no longer driven by what you feel, but by what you know. It is when you understand that faith is not a phase, it is a dwelling place. Your spirit is beginning to hear clearly again, and your soul is learning to obey the rhythm of heaven. The confusion that surrounded you dissipates, and your spiritual vision begins to realign. Do you feel this calmness? It is a sign that my spirit surrounds you. Do you feel this gentle warmth in your chest? It is the holy fire rekindling the altar within you. The place that was cold begins to pulsate again. Your communion comes back to life. What was dormant awakens with purpose. Awakening is not just feeling, it is understanding. You begin to understand that my voice never left. It only awaited the right silence to be perceived. I teach you to live awake. An awakened spirit sees what the world ignores. It perceives the movement before the miracle happens. It senses the danger before the mistake forms. It recognizes the touch of grace even in small things. An awakened spirit is not shaken by chaos because it knows that the order of heaven prevails. And now your spirit is in that state, awake, alive, sensitive, and firm. Your heart begins to vibrate in harmony with what is eternal. What once irritated you loses importance, and what once seemed small now shines with meaning. This is the beginning of your spiritual maturity. You stop reacting and begin to respond. You stop looking outside for what you already have within. My spirit does not dwell in temples made by human hands. He dwells within you. I am dusting off your spiritual perceptions. I am teaching you to distinguish the sound of truth amidst the voices. I am tuning your ears to the tone of eternity. From now on, you will no longer walk in confusion because your discernment has been restored. Your connection with me is clean, direct, constant. You are a channel of the supernatural, not an observer of it. Awakening also brings a new level of authority. Your words will carry weight. What you say with faith will not return empty. You will speak, and the environment will respond. Because when the Spirit awakens, creation obeys. I have made you a participant in my nature, and this means that you are an extension of my movement on earth. Do not fear using your voice, but use it with love, because it carries power. This is the time to feel the life of the Spirit in every part of your being. I take you by the hand and lead you along paths where fear does not dwell. Your spiritual eyes open, and you realize you have never been alone. Angels have walked with you in silence, and now they celebrate your awakening. Everything that seemed blocked begins to flow, because your inner self has aligned with the rhythm of heaven. You don't need to force anything, just stay awake. What I began in you now manifests naturally. Your prayers will have more direction, your days will have more meaning, and your peace will be unshakable. Your spirit and my spirit are in constant communion, and nothing can break that union. Click like on this video as a sign that your spirit has awakened to God's new season. This simple gesture is a response of faith. It is the confirmation of what is already happening within you. Your spiritual life will not fall asleep again. You will remain attentive, sensitive, filled with my presence. The awakening has happened, and with it comes a new cycle of revelations, direction, and power. Your consciousness now dwells in me, and your spirit lives in the rhythm of eternity. The time of restitution has arrived. I, the Lord, now enter the chapters that the enemy tried to erase and rewrite them with my own hand. Everything that was stolen from you, peace, joy, opportunities, relationships, time will be returned. And not as it was before, but multiplied. I not only restore what was lost, I renew what seemed forgotten. What time took away, I bring back with glory. What the enemy destroyed, I rebuild with purpose. During the silence, I was measuring the extent of your faithfulness. You endured pain that seemed unjust, but it was seed. And now, every tear that fell transforms into harvest. The land that seemed dry flourishes again. Days that wore you down become memories of strength. I raise you up before all who doubted and clothe you in honor. Because my decree has been released, the time of restitution has begun. Nothing you went through was wasted. Everything served as raw material for what I am building now. Even what seemed like loss was part of the plan. Every detour that confused you was just a redirection. Now the path is clear. I transform delays into testimonies and wounds into portals of wisdom. The pain that limited you becomes the bridge that leads you to the new. You thought you had wasted years, but I will return to you in harvest what time has taken from you. Years that seemed empty will be filled with results. Places that closed their doors will see my hand opening windows. I restore your voice, your credibility, and your ability to believe again. You will trust again, not because you forgot, but because you have been healed. I don't just restore things, I restore your heart. The angels are already moving with specific orders. They gather what has been scattered and reorganize what has been lost. I bring unexpected reconciliations, opportunities that will seek you out, and blessings that will not depend on your effort. Everything that is returned will come with the seal of my grace. Because whoever has passed through the valley of loss deserves to know the peak of restitution. I'm not just returning what was taken from you, I'm giving you what was denied to you. Ancient promises are being released, spiritual contracts are being reactivated, and doors you never opened are being unlocked at this moment. The honor that was taken from you returns twofold. The dignity that was stolen from you will be restored publicly. The time that escaped you will be rewarded with acceleration. Now, feel the atmosphere change. The wind that blows is the breath of a new beginning. The sadness that accompanied you begins to dissolve. The weight of the past detaches itself like ashes in the wind. You are being repositioned, no longer behind, but in front. No longer forgotten, but remembered. What seemed like an end becomes a beginning. What seemed irreversible transforms into a testament. Restitution is my way of showing you that love conquers time. I return what they took from you because my purpose does not depend on theft. Everything that belongs to you by promise returns to you, purified and multiplied. When I restore, the past loses the power to define you. From now on, you live in the dimension of restitution. Everything you touch will prosper. Everything you do will bear fruit. Everything you begin will be completed. Write 7,777 in the comments and declare with faith, the time of my restoration has arrived. This number is the spiritual seal of a perfect new beginning. When you write it, heaven acknowledges your agreement and sends the final decree of your restoration. You are entering a new season, and nothing and no one can stop what I have decided to restore. The time of restitution is not a future promise. It is a present reality, and whoever believes this begins to live the miracle now. I am the God who restores what time has taken away and adds what the enemy never imagined you could receive. Your victory is not silent. It has a sound. Heaven has proclaimed it, and now its echo begins to spread across the earth. What I have done in you does not end with you. It expands. Every word that was once hurled against you loses its power, and in its place a new sound is born. The sound of overcoming, of restitution, of grace. Your testimony becomes an instrument of transformation. What was once pain is now a melody of victory, and this melody will touch hearts that are still struggling to believe. The echo of victory is more than celebration, it's purpose. I didn't restore you merely to bring you joy, but to send you forth. What wounded you now serves as a bridge to heal others. Your scars now shine, and their glow will guide those who still walk in darkness. You no longer need to hide what you've lived through. What was shame has become strength. Your walk tells a and each step you take is a declaration. The God who raised me up lives on. People will begin to notice something different about you. You won't need to explain. Your presence will carry the fragrance of what is eternal. The peace I have won in you will be perceptible. The atmosphere will change when you enter. This is the echo of victory, the manifestation of my glory through your life. You no longer speak of what you expect. Now you speak of what you have lived. Victory is no longer theory, it is reality. Do you feel the weight that has been lifted? It was the last vestige of the old time. Now, every time you breathe, the new air of victory circulates. Every time you give thanks, victory is strengthened. And every time you declare it, it multiplies. Because what comes from me is not limited to an instant, it becomes movement. Your victory is alive, pulsating, expanding, and its sound reaches the places where fear tried to reign. The echo of victory is the sound of faith that endured. It is the answer to every no that hurt you. It is the testimony I built with what the enemy tried to use against you. Now, those who doubted will see, and those who mocked will understand. Honor has come, but not as revenge, as revelation. I show you that the victory that comes from me destroys no one. It only illuminates the path. You were raised up to inspire. What happened to you was not by chance, it was by purpose. Everything you endured has been transformed into authority. Now, when you speak, your words will have the power to heal. When you touch someone, peace will be transmitted. When you pray, the atmosphere will change. Because whoever goes through restoration carries an anointing that cannot be taught, only experienced. Your voice will no longer be silenced. The time of being forgotten is over. I myself will make sure your story is heard. But remember, victory is not a stage, it's a mission. The echo of victory serves to let others know that they too can win. Use your light to ignite others. The sound that now comes from you is the sound of the sky in motion, and nothing can stop that echo. Now your name will be remembered not for the pain you endured, but for the hope you spread. You are a living witness that the impossible bows before faith. The echo of victory will not be silenced. It transcends generations. What I have done with you will touch those who are not yet born. You are part of something greater, a legacy of faith, resilience, and grace. Share this message and let the echo of your victory reach other hearts. When you share, you do what heaven does now. Spread the sound of redemption. Your story is a seed, and every person touched by it will hear the same call that once lifted you out of the valley. The echo doesn't end here, it grows, reverberates, and continues. And I tell you, wherever your testimony reaches, the impossible will also happen. Because the victory that comes from me is never just yours. It is a sound that changes the world. Now, everything seems quiet. The wind that once blew strongly has calmed down. The voices have ceased, the movement has slowed, and you wonder if anything is still happening. But I tell you, it is precisely in this silence that the harvest begins. The noise of the seed has ceased because it has already been buried, and now it grows in secret. The invisible works in your favor, while the visible becomes still. Nothing has stopped, it has only ripened. The silence before the harvest is the sound of my precision. It is when time stops running and begins to serve. What I promised has not been lost. It has simply reached the stage where it no longer needs to be spoken, only lived. Your prayers have been harvested, and now heaven responds in gestures. The earth moves in your favor without you realizing it. The fruits are forming, and your name has already been placed upon them. You no longer need to fight to see results. This is the time to contemplate. Just as the farmer doesn't pull the sprout to make it grow, You also don't need to rush what is already underway. The faith you planted is enough. Your obedience was the water, and your silence is the fertile soil where the promise flourishes. Now, my spirit works on the roots, and what is born from the roots lasts forever. Breathe. This silence is not abandonment, it is preparation. The calmness that surrounds you is the exact environment where abundance germinates. The earth is moist with your tears, and it is from this moisture that the fruits will sprout. Nothing you planted in faith has been lost. Your faithfulness has taken deep root. You are no longer waiting for signs, you are at the beginning of the manifestation. I brought you to this moment to teach you the value of stillness. The greatest harvests are born from hearts that have learned to trust without noise. When the noise of the world falls silent, the voice of eternity makes itself heard. And it is in this voice that I now enfold you. Time is no longer your enemy, it is your ally. It does not distance you from the promise, it pushes it towards you. There is a movement that cannot be seen. While everything seems calm, angels are at work, doors are adjusting, hearts are preparing to receive you. What you asked for has already been released. Now is the time for it to mature. I do not rush you, because what I will give you is too great to be harvested unripe. The right season is beginning, and the first signs of the harvest are already around, even if still subtle. Do you feel the weight of the air? It is the weight of fullness. All of nature seems suspended, and your spirit understands something is about to happen. This is the sacred interval between what was promised and what will be delivered. The silence is not emptiness, it is the sound of heaven breathing with you, synchronizing your heart with mine. Fear not this stillness. The absence of apparent movement is the sign that the cycle is complete. What has been sown will not be lost. The heavens have already decreed. The time of manifestation has arrived. You need not run, you need only remain. The harvest comes effortlessly to those who trusted during the silence. He looks around with spiritual eyes. Everything is in its right place. Connections align, paths clear, answers draw near. You now enter the phase where not yet becomes already is. What seemed distant is now moving toward you. Your waiting becomes presence. Remain at peace and let the silence complete what your faith has already begun. This is the last gasp before abundance. The harvest ripens in the rhythm of eternity. There is no more struggle, only fulfillment. And when the first fruit sprouts, you will know, silence was never absence, it was gestation. What I have prepared is already blossoming, and soon the world will see what heaven already celebrates in silence. The waiting period is over. What was once a promise now takes shape before your eyes. Heaven has moved, the earth has responded, and everything you were told is beginning to happen. I, the Lord, fulfill every word that has come from my mouth. The time that seemed lost to you was, in truth, the soil where I planted every detail of what now flourishes. The day has arrived when what seemed distant becomes tangible reality. What I promised, I, myself, have accomplished. See, what once caused you pain now makes you smile. What weighed you down now propels you forward. The tears that moistened the soil of your faith have transformed into rivers of provision. Each of your prayers rose like incense, and my fire descended as an answer. This is the moment when the unseen reveals itself, and all that was merely hope becomes testimony. The fulfillment has arrived, and it bears your name. There is no chance here. Every delay was an alignment. Every denial was a detour from danger. Every silence was a secret construction. I did not deny you. I prepared you. Now you understand that my timing never failed. It only waited for the moment when your structure would be ready to sustain what I would give you. What comes from me is not lost because it is born complete. What you now receive is not a piece, it is the fullness. The promise has matured. What was forming in the unseen now manifests effortlessly. You don't need to chase after it, fulfillment reaches you. Time has stopped testing you and has begun to serve you. The doors that once ignored you now open automatically. The hearts that resisted you now recognize you. I clothe you with the honor that time tried to steal, and where there was shame, I establish glory. Do you feel the atmosphere around you? Everything has changed. The atmosphere is full of peace. Your soul, which once struggled to believe, now only gives thanks. The fulfillment didn't come to surprise you, it came to confirm it. Everything I told you, even what seemed improbable, was being woven into the fabric of time. And now that fabric reveals itself in beauty and perfection. Heaven and earth agree on you. Angels move toward you with new decrees. Doors you never imagined open without resistance. What once required effort now happens with grace. Abundance is not just material, it is spiritual, emotional, relational. Everything fits, everything flows, everything aligns. This is the time when your life becomes evidence of my faithfulness. Doubt no more. The harvest is ripe. The fruits are ready to be picked. I return time, opportunities, and connections, and along with that, I restore your confidence. Now you understand that nothing was lost, everything was in process. What was prepared for you always belonged to you, and that is why it arrived at the right time. What is yours by promise cannot be intercepted. I have not only given you the greeting, I have also given you the sensitivity to recognize what it means. This is the point where your faith and my power meet. It is the miracle becoming routine, the extraordinary becoming natural. Now you live what you previously only declared. You have crossed the valley, conquered the desert, endured the silence, and now you see my face reflected in every blessing that comes. Remain humble, but celebrate. The victory is yours, but the glory is mine. Use what I give you to heal, to teach, to serve. Your prosperity will be a channel, not an end. Fulfillment does not end the purpose, it expands it. What begins now is a new cycle of grace. I not only bless you, I make you a blessing. And when you look back, you will understand that every weight, every tear, and every doubt were instruments of preparation. Nothing was in vain. Fulfillment is not the end of the story. It is the confirmation that I was always in the midst of it. Click like and subscribe as a testimony that God's promise has come to your life. This simple gesture is the seal of your gratitude, the Amen that seals what has already been fulfilled. Heaven records your response, and your name remains linked to this promise. Now walk in peace, for the waiting is over. What was a promise has become reality, and what began in faith ends in glory. The fulfillment has arrived, and with it begins the new chapter that I myself will write with you. It is written, and what is written cannot be erased. The decree was sealed in heaven and confirmed on earth. What was once a promise is now eternal reality. I, the Lord, confirm. The cycle has been completed, time has been redeemed, and destiny has been aligned. No force can undo what I have established, because what is born of my word carries eternity within itself. The final decree is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of your legacy. You are a living witness that I fulfill everything I say. Every line I wrote about your life has been fulfilled perfectly. The enemy tried to tear out the chapters, but I rewrote them all with the ink of glory. You were remembered, restored, and repositioned. Now, you walk under an irrevocable sentence, blessing, purpose, and permanence. What was once a promise is now spiritual law in your favor. Nothing more is pending. Heaven has already signed, the earth has already responded, and your spirit has already acknowledged. I close the book of waiting and open the book of fulfillment. The time of scarcity, doubt, and delay has been ended by decree. And this decree does not depend on your strength, but on my faithfulness. I tell you, what I have said about you is officially established. The final decree is proof of my unchanging love. I not only fulfilled what I promised, I multiplied it. The initial promise expanded, reached generations, and touched places you never imagined. What I have done in you is not just a blessing, it is an inheritance. Your story now becomes a seed. Wherever you step, the ground will flourish. Wherever you speak, the atmosphere will align. Wherever you are, my presence will be felt. Do you feel the firmness that surrounds you? It is the weight of glory descending like a seal. There is no room for fear, nor for doubt. The final decree removes uncertainties and establishes rest. Your soul finally understands that the point of no return has arrived. What began as a promise now lives in permanence. No future circumstance can reverse what I have determined. The decree also sets you apart, not as exclusion, but as consecration. You were taken from the ordinary and placed within the purpose. What was once struggle is now legacy. What was once process is now identity. You have become a reference point of living faith. Your obedience has opened paths that others will follow, and I, from on high, declare before heaven and earth, this is my Son in whom I am well pleased. Now, keep this time in your heart. The final decree does not manifest itself with noise, but with presence. The peace you feel is the sound of eternity settling within you. Your spirit has been sealed, and my voice becomes the compass of your journey. The decree accompanies you, covers you, and sustains you. It has no expiration date because it was written outside of time. When days of doubt come, remember, the decree does not depend on mood or circumstance. It is rock, and upon that rock I plant you. Storms will come, but they will not move you. Winds will blow, but they will not knock you down. Because what has been decreed by me does not change. It is only fulfilled on new levels. Everything is now complete. The angels bear witness, heaven rejoices, and your name is proclaimed before eternity. The signature has been placed, the seal has been stamped, and the sentence is one: victory. Write in the comments, the promise has already been fulfilled, and seal with your words the final decree that I have released over your life. When you declare, you make the sound of eternity echo. Your confession is the Amen that confirms the decree, and I, the Lord, record your declaration as a seal of faith. From now on, walk lightly. What was hope has become testimony. What was prayer has become harvest, and what began as a promise ends in eternity. The final decree is established, and your name is engraved on it forever. Breathe calmly. Feel the air entering and leaving, simple and sacred. What you called the end is, before me, a door of return. I move your story in spirals of light. Each turn takes you higher, deeper, closer. The cycle you finish does not end the song. It only changes the tone, expands the reach, matures the timbre of your heart. I am the beginning and the end that meet within you, and that is why, when everything seems to conclude, something in your spirit knows how to begin again. You have traversed promise, silence, refinement, and fulfillment. Today, the fruit is in your hands, and within the fruit, I have hidden seeds for the next season. Learn the rhythm. Harvest is not the end, it is the cradle of new origins. The joy that visits you now is not farewell, it is consecration. What you receive, consecrate. What you consecrate, multiply. What multiplies, returns as a mission. Thus, life in me never diminishes, it only overflows in circles. Feel the peace that envelops you like warm water on weary stone. I washed away the remnants of the desert from you, but left inscribed lines of wisdom. The marks don't hurt you, they guide you. You look back and see no more losses, but maps. Each no that frustrated you became arrows that brought you to the center. Each wait, which seemed like a vacuum, was an engine room where I regulated your pressure, caliber, and compass. Now you understand. Maturity is knowing how to start over without nostalgia, with gratitude. The return I propose doesn't drag you down, it elevates you. You return to the same ground, but your feet weigh differently. They carry authority. You encounter old landscapes again, but your eyes decipher them with new light. You hear the same voice, mine, and perceive nuances that previously didn't fit within you. It's not hollow repetition. It's a variation on an eternal theme. Like the sea, which is always the sea and never the same wave, I call you to be constant and at the same time, always new. Pay attention to the silence that now surrounds you. It is not a lack of movement, it is movement so precise that it dispenses with noise. Within it, I reposition gears, trim edges, redistribute weights. Stillness is my precision laboratory. It is here that I return to you the breath you spent, sharpen the discernment you gained, and restore the lightness you lacked on the longest days. Whoever learns to honor silence, learns to inhabit fullness, return to the beginning with open hands. What was yours by promise is now yours by nature. You no longer chase after what you beg for, you walk with what you carry. Your prayer changes tone, from do it for me to do it in me and through me. This is the true sign that the cycle has closed, when the request becomes an offering, when the blessing becomes service, when the testimony becomes shelter for others. I did not give you a harvest to accumulate, but to sow security in the hearts of those who still tremble. Look how expansive you've become. What once hurt you now moves you. What once frightened you now inspires you. What once paralyzed you now calls you. The return to the beginning is the table set once more. Enough bread, enough wine, enough presence. You take what I give you and share it. And in sharing, you perceive the ancient miracle repeating itself. The more you give, the more you have. Because what is born of my spirit ignores scarcity. I grow in the gesture, I multiply along the way. I call you to reread your beginnings through the lens of faithfulness. Do you remember your first prayer? I was there. Do you remember? Your first tear? I collected it. Do you remember your first yes? It was enough to connect heaven to your small earth. Nothing was lost. Even what you considered fragile became fiber. Even what you called failure became fertilizer. The spiral of grace recycles pain, rearranges memories, redeems stories. The new beginning in me does not erase, it integrates. Allow me now to align your step with the breath. Inhale, you receive. Exhale, you give. Inhale, you welcome solace. Exhale, you extend solace. You see, the perfect loop is not a narrative trick. It is spiritual breath. This is how I keep you free from the weight of performance and place you in the flow of presence. You don't have to sustain what I gave. You are sustained by what I placed you in. Prepare your heart for gentle wonder. When you return to the first places, you will find first gestures with the depth of last ones. The simple smile will move you again. The brief word will once more uplift you, the small altar within. Your room will again seem as vast as the heavens. The return to the beginning restores scale to the soul. It removes the noise. It restores the essential. And in the essential, I have always been waiting. I raise you up as a guardian of beginnings. When others arrive weary, you will point the way back to me without lengthy speeches. Your peace will teach. Your gaze will say, there is a table. Your hands will say, there is bread. Your silence will say, there is presence. This is the highest fruit of the cycle, to become a sign. Miracles pass, signs remain. If something still seems unfinished to you, hand it over. The finishing touches are mine. The first brush stroke and the final varnish belong to me. Your part is to accept that the beauty of what I do also lies in time. I don't rush works I love. I sculpt you as one who possesses eternity, without haste, without waste, without noise. And when I declare it's good, it's not because I'm tired. It's because love has recognized its own form in you. Now, let me connect the dots. Feel the tenderness that calls you back to simplicity. Return to the beginning with the certainty of one who has already seen the end. He prays briefly and deeply. He walks slowly enough to hear the leaves. He chooses words that fit in an embrace. He learns to lose in order to gain space. He learns to stay, to watch things bloom. He learns to start over, so as not to harden. That's what I want you to be, flexible as a branch, firm as a root. And when your mind asks, and then what? Answer with your life, again, believe again, offer again, hope again, harvest again. Not because nothing has changed, but because everything has changed within the same love. The perfect loop is the pedagogy of eternity applied to your daily life. Wake up, trust, serve, rest, and begin again, knowing that I am in every verb. If the shadow of fear tries to convince you that returning to the beginning is regression, remind it of the secret. I do not lead you in vicious circles, but in virtuous spirals. Each turn takes you to a level of vision, compassion, and authority. The map is circular, the direction is upward. Therefore, accept the invitation without fear. What awaits you at the beginning now fits you better. I bless your return with three things: lightness to walk, clarity to choose, and loyalty to remain. Lightness, so you don't cling to what is merely a phase. Clarity to distinguish noise from voice. Loyalty, so you don't abandon the altar when the applause ceases. With these three, no new cycle will hold you captive. All will make you freer. And so, when the world around you seeks epic endings, you will offer silent beginnings. When they demand proof, you will offer presence. When they demand speed, you will offer rhythm. And your rhythm will be this: enter, sit, breathe, listen, stand, share, and return to give thanks. This is the choreography of the kingdom. It is simple enough for a child, profound enough for an elder, eternal enough for you. Stay here a little longer. Allow me to engrave the outline of this return on your heart, so that you may recognize it whenever I call you again. Do not fear repetition. In it I have hidden the miracle of faithfulness. If you repeat in me, you grow. If you repeat without me, you grow weary. Take what you have learned and place it in the first step. It will know what to do. Now, let the last thread join the first. No announcements, no fanfare, no farewells, just presence, just breath, just this ancient and ever-new invitation whispered to your spirit as it was in the beginning, so that the cycle may close gently and reopen luminously. Take a deep breath. Allow this moment to reach your heart.